And the big headline on the men's side was the upset of the #1 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys by the BYU Cougars, who are ranked #3 going into this weekend. So that, I think, is a good segue, Ashley, to today's guest, who we are very excited to have on the show, and that is the coach of that winning team, Mr. Ed Eyestone, and we will welcome him on now. Ed, great to have you.
Hey, guys.
Happy Monday, and congrats on your first Big 12 title.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is our second year in the Big 12, and last year Oklahoma State just handed it to us, and as they should have. They had a very, very good team that went on to win the national meet, probably one of the best NCAA teams for a long, long time last year. And with the way they reloaded, I think they're maybe on paper even better. But I was proud of the way my guys went out. We there's only two races that we care about, really. It's the Big 12 championship and it's the NCAA championship. I wasn't sure that we were going to be in a position to maybe take that title this year. Was just hoping to keep it close, and that's why we run these sporting events. That's why we play the games and why we run races. Is it doesn't always sort out as you would think so on paper, and so I was just really pleased with the way my guys rose up and claimed the first. I think it's the first Big 12 championship title in any men's sport at BYU. So I think I made my AD happy. I may have secured my job for another year. Yeah, so it was nice. And, I've got a lot of seniors this year. So if we were going to do it, this is probably the year to do it.
I gotta suspect that the job is pretty secure at this point, but I do want to look at one of the things that you said. Just the reload of OSU. I mean, we've talked about it kind of week in and week out about how on paper how deep they look, and so you as a coach, I'm curious how you approach that with the team, right? Because you obviously see that, you may know it, you and the coaching staff may talk about it, but what are you then saying to the team? And are you talking about it all throughout the season, before the championships, or like championship week? What's actually being said to get those guys ready?
Yeah, I think more than anything, we just try to preach process over product. Do your thing, get out well, settle in, run in the position you're supposed to. In our case, that means probably Casey Klinger doing battle up front with the other, top dogs in the Big 12, trying to break up some people, some of the Oklahoma State great runners. And then the rest of the guys were just trying to pack it in. We had some success a couple of weeks ago at Dillinger when we had a 5-second differential between 1 and 5. And, Casey was that much more fit 2 weeks later. So we were kind of, letting him go run up front, and then let's pack it in with the other guys. And again, on paper, looking at who, Oklahoma State put on the line, we were just trying to get our 2, 3, 4, 5 up as far as we could go, and hopefully in that if we could get ahead of the third or fourth guy and have 5 guys in before their fourth or even fifth, we might have a chance to at least keep it close. And kind of played out that way, through the first split that we got as we were tracking the thing. I think we were down 17 points. And then at the 5K mark, we're down 13 points. And that's close, but, that's still a pretty solid lead when you've only got, 3 or 4 teams that are really up there in position. We also were respecting Iowa State, because if we had an off day and they were they've got plenty of talent there too. So we weren't taking anybody for granted, particularly Iowa State, or anybody wearing yellow, Iowa State, or anybody wearing orange, Oklahoma State. We were very mindful of that. Like I say, through 5K, we were still down, I think, 13 points. Through 6K, we dropped a few. We were down 17 points. But then at 7K, a bit of light opens up. We're now only down by 7 points. And then my guys are moving really well. And a couple of their top guys, I think, struggled a little bit. So I think it was a combination of really good team tactics on our part and a couple of off days on their part. And we're probably going to have to see that happen again in Wisconsin. But at least now my guys, have the confidence, having executed You try to take advantages of your opponent's off days. And I think they, a couple of their guys, maybe, I think we run that race maybe 10 times. I'd like to think that we would have that same outcome 50% of the time, but I'm also a realist and can see what happened over the last couple of K with a couple of their guys. So we're going to have to be loaded for bear once again when we go to Madison, and hopefully we can pull it off again.
I want to ask you about one thing that you spoke with our team afterwards, after y'all's win, and I think one thing that really stood out to me was you said, hey, I've had talented teams, I've had tough teams, but this is a talented and a tough team. So I'm kind of curious, what have you seen from them this year? Not just at Big 12s, but like in practice and all the other meets that you guys have competed at to kind of give you that notion that, hey, not only are these guys really good, but they can really battle it out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a culture that comes through, and just what I've seen. And some of these same guys a year ago maybe didn't have that same level of maturity or same ability to just to push through. And I think that's where their toughness has come. We've gone through some good things together as a team. And then when you see teammates do very well at the Olympic trials, and you go, or the Olympic Games, and you go, well, I've been training shoulder to shoulder with these guys. Why not me? Then that instills a level of confidence that I think makes you inherently a little bit more tough. And so we just want to kind of retool and continue the build. Another thing we've been preaching all year long is just the importance of a good, solid build. And I think that came as a result of the guys who competed over in Paris, particularly Connor and Clayton, that it was a 16-week build getting ready for Paris. And we kind of likened that to the cross-country season and a multi-week, multi-month build, not getting ahead of ourselves, not being cocky, stay hungry and humble, and then be tough. And I think we really kind of put it all together. And I think we may have surprised Oklahoma State a little bit. With them having stayed at home, I don't know that they'd seen that level of depth and competition before. And sometimes it takes a rust buster and a surprise for you to go, okay, we're going to not take anything for granted now. So we've woken a sleeping giant, and we're going to have to face a very caffeinated and wide awake giant and in Madison at nationals, and we'll have to see if we can pull a little magic again. But for the time being, I told the guys, hey, you never apologize for winning a conference championship, especially when it's the first one. And it might be, we hope to be in a position to battle again. But we know that this year we were in a good position. And so to be able to pull it off, we were very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? You need to kind of cherish those moments because you don't know when they come back around. And I think about just
Exactly.
How strong BYU as a program is historically. But you look through the ranks, and you guys have won once. I had to remind myself, 2019 I think was the first title. I know there were a couple runner-up finishes, over I think it was like in the 90s and in the year before you won. So what's the, like, how do you describe to your team, or do you describe to the team just how significant these moments are? And like when you think about Madison, a few weeks to go, right? You got to get through regionals, I understand, but how do you make it so it's not such a big thing, too big for some of these young guys that may get lost in the light?
My guys are very aware, and they follow the sport enough, and they know that when you have guys on the opposing teams that are third at nationals in the 10,000 and fourth in the 5,000 have run, really they'll probably run sub 13 this year. That you really have to bring your A game, and then you have to make it into a team thing, I think it's a matter of I'm not going to have a hard time keeping these guys humble because they realized they had a really good day. And we probably caught Oklahoma State a little bit. They didn't execute probably up to their full standing. So like I say, I think they're going to be more wary at the national meet. I think they'll run better race. And so we're going to have to run a better race too. And we had a couple of guys that have been sick and have missed a little training as well. So I think we can bring it up a notch as well. It'll be interesting also to get in a race where there's, instead of just 100 guys, there's going to be, 230 guys or whatever. And so, some of those people will add some points here and there. So we just need to be, not be cocky, not be, enjoy the fact that we did win the Big 12. That this is ours. It's something that can't be taken away from us, but also recognize that the most important race is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And I think my guys are aware of that. We're certainly going to go into it as, even though we we beat Goliath, so to speak. We know that Goliath is still very alive and is going to be coming and going to be very, very strong. And Iowa State, for that matter. I think we could get quite possibly the top three teams maybe coming from our conference at the national meet. So we just need to be humble and hungry and continue to do the things that we've done, and then let the chips fall where they are, and then not be obsessive about orange or yellow. Just focus on the guy wearing the royal blue and the job that he's going to do himself. And that if everyone is accountable for their own work at the end of the day, win, place, or show, we're going to feel pretty good about our day at the national meet.
Now, the men's team obviously wasn't the only team to win at the Big 12 championships. The women's team, led by Coach Jill G. Taylor, won as well. I think y'all even had like the same points scored, which is it's kind of funny there. I'm just curious. Obviously you guys both win championships, both teams. What are the vibes like between the teams? When you're obviously both programs are among the best in the nation, among the women's and the men's. So just kind of what's that vibe like?
Well, this year the women got to go first, so they certainly we were taking notes during their race and noticing how fast everybody ran, and that hill was that course was a pretty challenging course as well. And when the women win, I think it gives us confidence, and it certainly makes us want to also win, because we don't want to be on the second page of the sports section, right? We want to be up there representing. There's not a real rivalry, but we each take pride in our own program, and certainly Coach Taylor does an amazing job with the women, and I think they're poised to be in a very good position at the national meet. But I think we each separately in our own cultures understand what has to be done, and Coach Taylor does an excellent job preparing her people to be effective on race day, and I try to do the same thing. And then at the end of the day, if we both win, we're going to both be going out to dinner, and hopefully our AD will be picking up the tab, and we'll be doing a great job. And if we come up short than that, as long as we know that we've done the very best, run to the best of our ability, and executed a good race plan, then, like I say, win, place, or show, we're going to be pretty happy about things.
Ed, I want to ask you one more question before on the team specifically before we let you get back to practice. I think you got coming up here. But one of the big stories coming out of the spring was James Corrigan, his breakthrough after the NCAAs at the trials, and getting to see that opportunity for him to chase the standard and then make his way to Paris. What's his road been like since coming back from the games? It seemed like he came back, and I think he raced maybe he was number 4 or number 5. He's now been a solid number 2 for you guys. I know, he was 32nd last year, so no slouch on the cross course. But what's his progression been like, and anything different from his experience at the games that you've noticed?
Well, he had such a phenomenal end to his track season. Making it to NCAAs and the huge improvements he had done in terms of personal bests, and winning his prelim heat, I think, at NCs, and then coming back, unfortunately didn't have his best race there, and actually ran solid, but finished out of the first team All-American. But at that point in time, I was able to put he and Kenny into some workouts together, and actually he beat Kenny in one of the workouts about a week out from the trials, and I was going, oh, I hope that didn't shatter Kenny's confidence, but obviously it didn't. But by the time he got to Paris, I think he was one tired puppy from all the, running so well at the Olympic trials, getting third, and then having to turn around in 6 days and doing that last chance, running the American collegiate record, 8:13 at Philly under not perfect conditions, but pretty darn good conditions. But I think by the time we got to the games, he's adrenaline, plus the fact that he got married a week after that. He'd gone through a very big summer. And so when he got eliminated, unfortunately, on the prelims at Paris, well, I just said, okay, let's not even worry about running here for a week or two. Enjoy the rest of the week in Paris, and then let's take another easy week when you get back. And then we really didn't involve him into any harder workouts until about 3-4 weeks later, as we got back into September. And since that time, though, he's been gradually coming around. And I think as well as he ran last year at nationals, I think he's going to be in position to see what he can do. Casey's certainly someone who's gunning for a top 10 or better, hopefully top 5 at NCs. And I don't think James necessarily has to be too far behind him. Now, he fulfilled a really good role at the conference meet because I probably could have said, hey, try to see how long you can run with Casey. But instead, I just said, okay, let's have our 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of run together for as long as they can. And so I think he may have sacrificed a few spots in kind of being back. And it was also good for him, because I don't know that he's really ready to put himself out there with Masao or, some of the other stud Kenyans that are out there. So running a kind of a tactical race with his teammates, there's some real confidence that comes when you have 3 or 4 guys wearing the same uniform, up in a very competitive conference meet. And I think that really helped him. Now, whether we stick to that strategy at the national meet or we let him go off a little earlier, or we'll see. But I think when we get him running at 100% and we get a few guys healthy, or at least post-injury a couple more weeks, and maybe post-cold a couple more weeks, then even though Oklahoma State, I'm sure, will run a better race at the national meet, hopefully we can keep it close. And then Iowa State as well is going to be right there. I mean, Iowa State could beat us both, if they have a really good day. So, but again, it's just a matter of preparing the best you can and then running your own race, and then win the race at the end. Win the race that you're in, whether you're battling for top 3 or battling for top 20. Win that race that you find yourself in. You're going to help out your team. And if you have a good deep team, then you have a chance to be on the podium.
And then lastly, before we let you go here, I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that, you just got back from New York City Marathon, where you're coaching Connor Mans, Clayton Young. They both finished in the top 10 there. So busy weekend for you, that's for sure. Just reflecting on New York City real quickly, how did you feel about Connor and Clayton and what they were able to do out there in New York City?
Well, I think if you just look at the last 13, 14 months that they've gone through, I'd give them A+, really. And a lot of people they're not critical. They're just going, are those guys attached to the hip, or are they ever going to run a different race? Yes, they will run separate races at some point in time. But starting back in Chicago of last year, they really needed to go to a fast course, which they did. They punched that A ticket. They punched 2 spots to an open 2 windows to Paris. So that was good. And once they did that, obviously, then they're going to go to the same race, the Olympic trials, where they ran again very well there. And then to come back after and then finish, 8-9 in Paris, and then have a quick turnaround for this last one and get 6th and 7th, and really be, I think Connor had the fastest closing mile, and I think Clayton had the 2nd or 3rd fastest closing mile. So good marks all along, and just happy for their consistency. I've always said that the mark of a great athlete isn't necessarily the one-off wonder, but consistency. And at least over the last 14 months, they've shown signs of greatness through their consistency. So kudos to that. So proud of the way that they went to New York, proud of the way they battled. I thought they both had excellent races. I thought Connor had just had such an amazing fall, ran that really super fast time in the 10 miler, and Clayton was getting dropped a little bit more so in workouts than he had before. But the fact that he rallied in the race and actually had, finished as close, 20 something seconds back from Connor, I think, he had an outstanding day as well. So great job for those two. And there's going to be great things ahead. That we're going to find some fast races for him. I'm going to get Connor in a fast half marathon at some point this next year. We'll have fun with that, but we won't, that's my side gig. What we're most concerned about right now is getting the Cougars through the end of the cross country season. And I hope the cross country college world out there is really excited right now, because we really have, NAU. I'm not even writing NAU off at this point in time, right? Because we know how good that they've been and how surprising they've had. And on the year that maybe they're maybe a little off, some people say, I'll believe it when I see it at the national meet. Then we have a team like Oklahoma State who has stepped up, and man, you just have, challenges. But I guess at the end of the day, we want to embrace those challenges, not be intimidated by those challenges, but embrace it and say, okay, we got them at Big 12. We know it's going to be tough at the national meet. Let's embrace this. Let's go for it. Let's try to beat them. I know Dave Smith's going to have his Stallions set to do the same thing and to make up. And so it's about rivalries, right? It's about fun. It's for the last few years, it's been NAU, BYU, and we were getting I don't know how good of rivals we were, because we only beat them one time out of however many times we were so allegedly rivals. And now, lo and behold, we have a new rivalry. We're in a new conference, and it makes it fun. I hope it makes it fun for the fans. Hope it makes fun for you guys.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. That's why we're here talking to you. So, but we appreciate your time. It's obviously been a busy, wild weekend, and now we're nearing the end of the season, championship season. So, a lot going on, a lot for BYU to be excited about between 2 conference championships, the marathon performances this weekend. So congrats to the team, your athletes, and you and your coaching staff, Ed. It's always great talking to you. So I think we have plenty to talk about, plenty to clip out for our guests to hear what you have to say to get this excitement rolling. Some bold potential predictions around top 3 teams in the Big 12 being the top 3 teams in the nation. I think we'll have some things coming out later.
Why not? Why are we going to see that? I mean, this is isn't this a reveal of some sort?
Yeah. There may be some foreshadowing here, which I like. So,
okay.
But
I'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
Then as best I can and follow that up. And I love predictions, and anything that generates entertainment and talk, I think is a good thing. So whether we're placed where we should be or not, I think everyone will be excited about whatever comes out, and we'll just try to live up to whatever hype that exists as a result of it. But yeah, let's have some fun.
Love it. Well, best of luck to you guys in 2 weeks. We'll be seeing you in about 3 weeks or so. So hope everyone stays healthy and rolling out there. And again, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Take care.